Good evening. Today is Thursday, August 6, 2026. I'd like to call this meeting of the Auburn City Council to order. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Diego.
Here.
Councilor Overstreet Wilson.
Here.
Councilor Cuddy.
Here.
Councilor Clarko.
Here.
Mayor Genatino.
Here, please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silent prayer or reflection. Thank you. Please be seated. Mr. Clerk, public announcements.
Thanks, Mayor. We do have a couple of announcements this evening. First is just want to let everybody know that I got to pull up the PowerPoint presentation. So here we go. This weekend is summer homecoming weekend in Auburn. There's events. This is a weekend worth of events organized by the city's Historic and Cultural Sites Commission, the Auburn Downtown Bid. And then on Sunday is the annual Great Race, 48th edition of the annual Great Race. City will have music down on State Street this Friday night. Perform for Purpose plays at 5:30 and Lauren Berriger plays at 7 p.m. There's also events at the other historic and cultural sites and businesses throughout downtown. On Saturday, it's the Summer Homecoming Day. The Saturday market across the street will have all kinds of activities from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. And we will also be running a trolley to the other sites of the West End Arts Campus with the Cugin Museum and Schweinsworth Art Center and the Willard Memorial Chapel. That trolley runs from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. And you can be shuttled around to the various events that are happening at those three locations. And then the last day to sign up for the Great Race is tomorrow, August 7th, Friday, August 7th, and that's on Sunday. So lots going on in Auburn this weekend, and we encourage everybody to come on out and take advantage of everything. One more week of tennis under the lights. Next week down at Casey Park, our summer events are starting to wind down. We had the last day of summer rec today, but next week we still have some tennis going on. Movies, we still got about 3 weeks left of movies. Next week's movie is August 10th at Clifford Park. It's the movie's Hoppers, and that movie will probably be able to start at 8:30. Movies start at either 8:30 p.m. or whenever it's dark, but it's getting dark earlier now, so 8:30 is probably going to be a good time. We still have 4 concerts remaining up at Hoops Park this summer. Next week, Tuesday, is Mojo Combo. Those Hoops Park concerts are 6 p.m. till 8:30 p.m. Then just on a final note, wanted to remind everybody that our Smart Growth Comprehensive Plan Community Survey is still live. auburnny.gov/Smart Growth Plan is how you can get there quickest. But the more people that take this survey for us, the better off the survey will be in the end. And that's all I have this evening for announcements, Mayor.
Very good, thank you. Before we move to the public to be heard, we do have a special guest with us this evening that I'd like to introduce. Ms. Ventress Gibson, newly hired Executive Director of Harriet Tubman Home, Inc. Ms. Gibson is a veteran of the United States Navy, former Assistant Secretary in the Department of Veterans Affairs, and most recently the Director of the United States Mint under President Joe Biden. The City Clerk and myself had an opportunity to meet with Ms. Gibson and her assistant Sabrina and Reverend Carter this week on the future of the Tubman Home and the National Park. It was a very productive meeting. I look forward to this relationship between the City of Auburn and yourself, and I'd like to give you an opportunity to come up and say a few words.
And good evening, and thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to this assignment. We like to say carrying the light of freedom forward as it relates to Harriet Tubman. She has been a part of my life as an idol since I was a child, so I feel like I've come full circle from the United States Mint in making the coins relevant to Harriet Tubman. So I look forward to the partnership, and I look forward to receiving and answering any questions you might have on our future. I'm going to be here as much as I can, and just look forward. I'm also a town council member from my little town of Amherst, Virginia. That's where I'm from. But looking forward to establishing just a long-term relationship with Auburn and with each of you. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Actually, I have another special guest in the front row, Layla Harding. She's doing a little shadow her dad at work day at City Hall. Got to ring the bell, and she hit the gavel a couple times, so we might have a future mayor here. Welcome, Layla. Move on to the public to be heard.
At this point in time, we'll open the public to be heard portion of the council meeting. Residents that are asked to state their name and address for the record, please keep remarks to 3 minutes or less, and please observe commonly accepted rules of courtesy and decorum.
Very good, thank you. Is there anybody wishing to be heard this evening? Mr. Udall.
James Udall, 106 Osborne Street. Here again to talk about the Senior and Disabled Homeowner Tax Assessment Discount Program. The income limits have not been raised in going on 7 years. I'm not sure why the delay on this. Back in February, I met with Corporation Counsel and City Manager in February. I was advised to wait till the budget process was completed. Budget process has been over for some weeks. About a month ago, Mr. Cuddy told me that the wheels of government run really, really slow, and you just got to wait for things. And, all respect to Mr. Cuddy, I don't find that answer to be acceptable. There are people in Auburn, these lower income seniors and disabled homeowners who are going to have a hard time affording their property taxes. I don't know what the difficulty is, in getting something like this moving. Most of you would probably characterize yourselves as being progressives. What's a more progressive topic than seniors and disabled, helping them afford their homes? By acting on this, you would be giving them a break on their city, and the county would follow the county taxes. It's a significant savings. I don't understand how you can say you're progressive when you're not. Progressive means to move forward, to help people move forward, to keep moving the cause of affordability. I bet when you all get together with your friends and colleagues and your cocktail parties, you will talk about affordability, how everything is just not affordable anymore. All the people in Washington are making things not affordable. The price of gas and the basket of groceries at Wegmans, everything is not affordable. Affordability. You'll go and campaign on affordability, I bet. But yet, here is an opportunity to make homes more affordable for about 800 and some odd Auburn households. What you're going to end up doing by slowing this down, Mr. Cuddy, is you're going to give some smart people next year campaign, a reason to campaign, a topic to campaign about, a topic to talk to 800 homeowners, why their taxes are higher than they need to be. The income limits for Auburn have not been adjusted in going on 7 years. They're woefully low. It does not make any sense. And until this issue is addressed,
30 seconds.
It does not make any sense to me how you guys can go into the community and campaign as progressives, wanting to help people with their affordability. You can do this right now. We could get a motion, a second, and takes one more vote to get this thing through. Why not do this tonight? Let's do it tonight, shall we? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to be heard? Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Walker Goodmote. I'm at 60 Mary Street. I'm here today for two reasons. First, to support the proposed data center moratorium. I think that's a great idea. Good on the council for proposing it. Secondly, to speak in opposition to the city's contract with Flock. I've spoken before about this, issues with Flock. The cameras are an invasion of privacy, how Flock stores the data captured, and who can access that data. I want to thank the council for taking this into consideration. Getting rid of Flock is our first priority, but looking ahead, replacing Flock with a sort of similar contractor is a very concern of mine. In Syracuse, we saw that happen. They got rid of Flock and replaced it with Axon. little bit better, but there's still the problem with scanning and storing data on drivers who have not been accused of a crime and concerns about who can access that data. I personally would argue none of these companies can be trusted with our data, but whatever happens, I'd like to see some safeguards. I sent out some emails, but I'd like to reaffirm some of the points I made. Two of the biggest concerns I have are about data retention from these ALRPs and who can access data from these ALRPs. The ACLU offers some recommendations for data retention. The standard flock contract, I'm not quite sure what ours is, but the standard contract is they'll store the data for 30 days. There's proposed local laws and way to sort of work this into your contract with flock. A proposed local law in Troy, New York says data could only be stored for 48 hours. I think that's great. Even better is a New Hampshire state law, Chapter 261, Section 26175B, that requires photos to be deleted within 3 minutes unless they are related to an ongoing criminal investigation. The other big concern is who can access this data. The proposed local law in Troy prevents ALRP data from being shared with outside entities, and if that data is to be shared, it would require judicial oversight. I think that is a shrewd move as well. The ACLU also recommends that these sort of terms can be worked into contracts with future ALRP providers if that is the decision the city eventually makes, which again, I'm not so sure about. I understand this is uncharted territory for the city. This tech is new, and models on how to behave can be hard to find. I see this as an opportunity for the city. We have a chance here to forge our own path and become a leader in the fight for data privacy. So I urge the council to seize this opportunity, kick out Flock, and say no to any other AI-powered ALRP surveillance tech.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Madison Hall, and I currently reside at 74 Francis Street here in Auburn. Today, I'm here to discuss Auburn's use of automated license plate reader technology, including flock safety and potential future alternatives. I believe these systems require transparency, accountability, and meaningful public input before they are adopted or expanded. Public safety matters. Law enforcement needs effective tools to investigate crimes, locate missing people, and protect our community. But those benefits must be balanced with privacy and strong public oversight. In October 2024, the Auburn Police Department entered into a 4-year, $120,000 contract with Flock Safety for 10 automated license plate readers using a $122,500 grant. However, the City Council never voted to accept that grant or approve the contract. The agreement was signed by former Police Chief James Slayton, and the public did not learn about it until Chief Matthew Androsco discussed it during the annual report in March. When a city adopts technology capable of collecting information from the public, residents deserve to know how it works, what information is collected, and what safeguards are in place. Flock cameras and similar systems collect information from every vehicle that passes them, not just vehicles connected to crimes. In doing so, they routinely collect information about people who are not suspected of any wrongdoing. My request tonight is that Auburn not continue expanding or replacing its automated license plate reader program. I believe the continuous collection and storage of information on law-abiding residents outweighs the benefits of this technology, and I encourage the council to reconsider whether automated license plate readers are the right direction for our city. Public safety and individual privacy are not mutually exclusive. We should expect both from our local government. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Bishop.
Hello, my name's Andy Bishop. I live on Bradford Street in Auburn, New York, and quite frankly, Mr. Mayor, I don't drink the water. It's too bad our friends here couldn't have stayed long enough. I would have warned her too while she was in town, bottled only and or RO, which I'm assuming everybody here is drinking bottled or RO. Let me put it to you this way, Mr. Mayor. As we've all determined, by simply getting on the internet and asking a simple question, the carbon filtration that we use for our water supply, is it adequate for what's coming down the pike from Lake Moravian Groton, let alone all the other stuff? No, it's not. Any of the caffeine, birth control pills, any kind of hormones, psychiatric pills and medications, they're all getting right in. That's why I told you before. I told you. I already know you're going to switch to RO. But here's the thing. Now, you remember when I put that check up there and it fell to the ground because nobody could be bothered to pick it up from the city? The $3,000 I was going to pay for the stable isotope analysis so we could conclusively determine. Remember, that's what it says on your desk. The buck stops here, and that's you, sir. We can conclusively determine who the culprits are following Owasco Lake and in what ratios. And instead, who was it? There he is, Mr. Fricano. You remember the guy that keeps promising you he was going to save us all money and you ignored him? Well, there we go. Another boondoggle. Excreting money like it was going out of style. And here's the thing. Then I tried to file these FOIL requests, one of which was on your desk and it's still sitting there. I recall, I believe it's either today or tomorrow, the timeline ceases. Well, that was when I asked for the procurement cards of the fire chief. No, we don't have anything, because I called them credit cards, and I pointed that out to you, as you know. Then I started asking, I said, okay, what did we spend over the past 2 years, just per year, on that testing of the lake, and the names of those tests? Yeah, I know, keep looking at that clock. It's ticking, Rick. The clock's ticking. Well, you know the reference I'm speaking of, Mr. Mayor. We're not stupid. We're all adults here, and I'm keeping a civil tongue in my head, because I appreciate that everybody home, not just here, but they're all drinking the water. And they all want answers. I do too, and I got no return.
30 seconds.
No return on any of my FOIL requests relating to just the names of the tests that we're doing on the water. That's what we paid for. Not just for the testing, but the very tests themselves. I have no other words to say. I revert the rest of my time back to the public.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Seamus Green. I live on 101 Grove Avenue Extension in Auburn, New York, and I am in strong opposition to the deployment of flock safety cameras in my hometown. Flock cameras have been at the heart of council meetings just like these across the country. They're a hot topic nowadays for a good reason. To remind everyone, Flock is neither a safety company or camera company, despite what the name says. It is a private platform surveillance company that uses their cameras as a mechanism to collect data and personal identifiers in order to create a profile of your data under the guise of public safety. But not every person that walks or drives past a Flock camera is an imminent threat to public safety. But yet Flock tracks us all anyways. That alone should perk ears, as the most valuable thing to any company nowadays is data. It lets them see who you are without your humanity. It lets them see you as just another dollar, another consumer, instead of someone with a story and moments that are uniquely human and not impeded on surveillance. Flock cameras collect a wide range of personal identifier data, from bumper stickers and license plates to walking speed and distance of your arms swinging while you walk. Does that not frighten you? They can recognize you by your stride, your phone's Bluetooth identifiers, and other things. They do not need you to look into the camera to know that it was you that walked past. In other states where police used Flock's databases, they have been found misusing Flock's databases to track things personal to them. Officers acting in bad faith are dangerous anywhere, but having the potential to access an ever-expanding AI-powered 24/7 mass surveillance system that is able to track and identify your every move enlarges the scale of possible danger if the technology falls into the wrong hands. And public safety is not a matter that can only be solved by putting a set of artificial eyes on every street corner. It is an issue that involves community action and prevention, something of which a camera cannot do. A camera cannot volunteer at a food pantry or donate to the rescue mission. A camera does nothing but stoke fear into our community. As the Hawthorne effect states, behaviors change when no one knows they are being watched, and these Flock cameras spark a feeling of tumultuous discomfort within me. I appreciate the opportunity to discuss my feelings with you guys as the council, as I know you guys had never had the chance to vote on whether these Flock cameras were placed here, and I appreciate the steps you've taken to modify that. However, as City Council, you have the power to change what happens with these cameras and surveillance systems that are used here in the future. I call you to action to immediately terminate any contracts the Auburn City may have with Flock or other surveillance organizations. I then ask you to place a moratorium on mass surveillance technology in Auburn until you, the council, have time to research and prepare proper regulation in order to truly protect the safety of the people of Auburn. Finally, I ask that the community and civil liberties organizations of Auburn be included on any regulation discussion in the future, whether that be about Flock or other companies such as Axon or Ring that may provide mass surveillance systems to municipalities across the
30
country.
seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, Jenna Powers, Main Street, Aurora. I'm here this evening regarding flock cameras. I think my first time here regarding flock was at the end of March. From their own developer documentation, I have a quote: "For objects capable of recording video, the API can provide a device link that enables users to view the live stream directly from the Flock OS VMS if the link is for a Flock Safety VMS stream, or from a third-party system if the link is external to a different platform. This live streaming functionality ensures that users can monitor real-time video feeds alongside geolocation data, enhancing situational awareness." Do you know what situational awareness platforms are? They are the covert name for surveillance and signal intelligence software systems, such as Signal Trace, which is an add-on for Flock. On June 29th, the Supreme Court decided Shatry versus United States, 6-3. Justice Kagan writing, "The court held that when police pull cell phone location data through a geofence warrant, that is a search under the Fourth Amendment. The government argued the third-party doctrine that once your data sits on Google servers, you've given up your privacy interest in it. The court rejected that. We retain a reasonable expectation of privacy in our location history. So the principle settled. Our location is not fair game simply because a private company is holding it, and that principle does not stop at Google servers." LAPD recently let its 3-year Flock contract expire on July 11th, not over cost or for performance. Their own chief information officer cited serious concerns about civil liberties and civil rights, particularly privacy, and the data being collected. A civil inspector general audit found a 32.3% error rate. Nearly 1 in 3 hot list alerts flagging cars as stolen were incorrect. So on the record, who is liable here? The city? Because Flock says they are not, according to their recent terms and conditions changes from February. There are lawsuits nationwide against municipalities over Flock and against Flock itself. More residents will come to these meetings with these concerns, and every day this contract runs another opportunity for a false alert, a wrongful stop, a wrongful arrest, a civil liberties violation with the city's name on it. The Supreme Court just told us our location data is protected. I'm asking council to tell us who answers for it here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Randy Thornton. I live on 25 Sheridan Street here in Auburn. I'm here today to ask the council again to terminate their Flock contracts and to pass a moratorium on the use of AI surveillance in our community. I understand that a lot of other towns are moving to Axon. I do also have concerns about the use of those systems, but I will specifically focus on Flock for today. My concern is that this kind of system is run by an independent company who, at its basis is focused on its shareholders, its own boards, and its incentive is to prioritize money, often at the cost of our constituents. I sat in on a meeting where Chief Police Androsky gave a presentation about Flock back in May, and I don't feel that that presentation was able to accurately address a lot of the concerns that people here have been bringing up. The data is not currently being shared was sort of a point that he was insisting on. But without regulations, without laws to make sure that that remains the case, it doesn't feel safe to have that large of a collection of personal data, identifying data for our community members to exist and to be collected ad infinitum, regardless of whether or not a crime has been committed. It's not just about the searchable license plates. Flock products have the ability to log human biometrics. We know this. They can look people up on race, gender, facial identification, as well as the ability to process speech. It's terrifying to have that much information available to people. And when it's being run by these searchable databases run by AI, which has not always been consistently accurate or discerning about who is being targeted. There have been all sorts of concerns about data breaches, including with government agencies like ICE, and as well as the security of a private company. Who can access that? Who could hack into that? What does it mean that all this is available all the time? And, you know, I would really like to see, as Mr. Goodmote had a point in saying, a sort of limit on how long that data could be stored. I think that Auburn has the potential to really kind of take that into account. I want to see this be a safe community. I urge the council to consider what is the best interest of their
30
constituents.
seconds.
And to terminate this contract, as well as consider a moratorium in AI usage until there are greater regulations in place for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to be heard this evening? Ms. Okuzik?
My name is Mrs. Okosik. I live at Chapman Avenue. I get the concerns about flock cameras. What concerns me most is we currently have 7 police officers that have excessive force charges against them. You guys don't seem concerned about that.
Oh, we are.
And we have at least 4 of them that have over 2 to 3 excessive force charges against them. Don't hear you speaking about that. Do you also know that we also have 2 citizens, and I get that they did something wrong, that these officers have broke every bone in their face. One of those persons is now permanently blind. But we don't talk about that.
Order. Order, please.
We also have 6 open cases of lawsuits against the Auburn Police Department. One of our officers who had excessive force charges against him actually left and went somewhere else so that those charges couldn't be brought against him. One of our brand new officers who was just sworn in here not a month ago has already left and gone to another police department. So I don't get it. One of our officers was speeding through the city at over 100 miles an hour. And when he was called on it, because somebody used a curse word with him, when they reprimanded him, he sued the city. And he won that lawsuit and won $7,000 against the city when he was called for it and told that he wasn't supposed to be doing that. And then guess what? He did it again. I don't get why we put up with this with our officers. And everybody can say, I've got something against the police officers. But I've told our police chief time and time again, I've got something against officers that think they're above the law. So I get it. I don't agree with flock. But you know what? You can keep coming in here and complaining. But you know what? There's some things in the city that are really important. And having police officers that are injuring people and breaking every bone in their face, that's an issue that needs to be dealt with today. Because you know what? Those people are the ones who their entire life is affected now. And they're going to have disabilities for the rest of their lives. Thank you. Think about that.
Is there anybody else wishing to be heard this evening? Mr. Fricano?
Good evening. Lon Fricano, 321 Bacchus Road in Cayuga. As a taxpayer in Auburn and a person associated with the provision of essential city services for almost 3 decades, I started to say something in the last meeting and I ran out of time. And I admit this is a personal matter. See, my parents raised me in a way that if you do something to offend somebody, you should apologize to that person. And as I started to say last time I was here, I was highly offended the night the council and some of the members who are sitting here now who voted in this fashion, highly offended when you made the decision to jettison private ambulance service and incur millions of dollars in debt for the city without any real planning or knowledge of how to do it. And I got called basically by Mike Quill, who was the mayor at the time, and Jeff Digert, the most unqualified city manager in the history of this city. And I was essentially called a liar and a fool during the city council meeting as they were getting up to leave, violating your own rules. And I've been very quiet for 5.5 years. But now's the time. I respectfully demand 2 apologies. One for that, and I would like it in writing, please. You can just send it to my house. You have my address, Chuck. The other one is for the statements that were made by 2 sitting councilors on this council that said if there was a change in leadership on the council, a Republican, conservative, independent, that they would somehow come into the office with a vengeance for qualified, valuable city employees, just based on their party designation. That is beneath the dignity of any public elected official. It is an insult to every single person in this community, because think past the 10 seconds of your thought. That means that the people of this city would have elected those people to be on the council. And you called them names. You said they would be vindictive. You said they would be cruel, jettisoning city employees for no good reason, just based on the letter after their name. You owe an apology, not just to me, but to every person in this city, and I don't need another 30 seconds. That's the truth, Mr. Mayor, and that's the truth, Mr. Cuddy. Do something about it.
Is there anyone else wishing to be heard this evening? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Paul Farinelli, and I live on School Street in Auburn. I'm here to urge that this council terminate the city's improperly procured contract with Flock Group. Flock fundamentally does not have the public safety at heart, but rather employs their surveillance technology to profit from collecting our data, pretty obviously. An argument often used to defend ALPRs is that they only photograph license plates, which are publicly registered vehicles and thus ostensibly less of an invasion of privacy. However, ALPR vendors have already begun marketing sensors that associate myriad personal devices with license plates. As an example, I think this was already brought up previously, but Leonardo, US Cyber and Security Solutions in 2024, another ALPR vendor, patented and since 2025 has been marketing a sensor add-on called Signal Trace, which tracks many of the wireless devices which repeatedly travel with a given vehicle. So they're then used as part of an overall electronic fingerprint tied to the license plate in question. And this becomes exponentially more troubling when we consider like the wealth of information already documented to have been routinely captured by Flock surveillance products, including bumper stickers, physical qualities like height, race, clothing, etc., listening for speech, and so on. There are also many examples already cited in previous council meetings in which Flock's technology was revealed to have glaring vulnerabilities. One notable example was a security researcher found Flock logins for sale on Russian hacking forums in November of last year. Since the company negligently doesn't require multi-factor authentication, an alleged violation of federal law and industry standard security practices. Flock also obviously puts our communities at risk just by demonstrably having empowered indirectly, but still, nonetheless, stalkers, those who would prosecute women seeking abortions across state lines, and facilitating ICE raids with their technology. So to reiterate, I strongly urge that Auburn's contract with Flock be terminated immediately. This contract was in fact improperly procured and thus void, and a moratorium on mass surveillance tech in Auburn would also seem sensible until council can conduct research and prepare proper regulations with feedback from the community at large. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to be heard? All right, we'll close the public to be heard. Move on to the approval of the meeting minutes from July 9th. Do we have a sponsor? Councilor Clarko, seconded by Councilor Cuddy. Any questions, discussion, or changes? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilor Diego?
Yes.
Councilor Overstreet Wilson?
Yes.
Councilor Cuddy?
Yes.
Councilor Clarko?
Aye.
Mayor Geneseo?
Aye.
Carried.
Approval of the meeting minutes from July 16th, 2026. Do we have a sponsor? Councilor Clarko, second by Councilor Diego. Any questions, discussion, or changes? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilor Diego?
Yes.
Councilor Overstreet Wilson?
Yes.
Councilor Cuddy?
Yes.
Councilor Clarko?
Aye.
Mayor Geneseo?
Aye.
Carried.
Approval of the meeting minutes from July 23rd, 2026. Do we have a sponsor? Councilor Clarko, second by Councilor Diego. Any questions, discussion, or changes? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilor Diego?
Yes.
Councilor Overstreet Wilson?
I'm going to abstain as I was absent.
Councilor Cuddy?
Yes.
Councilor Clarko?
Aye.
Mayor Geneseo?
Aye.
Carried.
Ms. Saines, City Manager's Report.
Thank you, Mayor. On the city's website, there are bid opportunities, 2 of them. One is for the 26-27 sledge hauling services that actually was due today, and the 2026-2027 chemical bid, which is due on August 31st. At Council's request, we are going to be sharing project updates on Lake Ave Bridge once a month. So I have a quick PowerPoint to share with you related to progress so far. I'll read one other item till we get that going.
Might have to go down.
Oh, you got it going.
Go ahead with your other.
Okay, thank you, Chuck. The 2026 road program has started on Lake Avenue with prepping for milling and paving, and we should see some more activity next week. On Monday, August 3rd, the city water treatment operators initiated the powder-activated carbon system to treat for microcystin, which is the toxin associated with harmful algal blooms. In accordance with Department of Health testing procedures, our first lab sample was sent out today, August 6th, and we are awaiting results for raw and finished water. For more information regarding laboratory testing and results associated with the harmful algal bloom treatment and monitoring program, please reach out to the Geauga County Health Department or contact our water filtration plant at 253-8754. City staff will continue to follow Department of Health notification protocol and keep the public informed as the HAB season progresses.
You were going to do this one too.
Sure. Thank you today to volunteers from Auburn and Large City School District and Mackenzie Childs who spent their day of caring at Hoops Park earlier today. They planted 2 flower beds and worked on splitting iris plants and planting trees. And thank you to our city staff, Renee Jensen and Seamus Rhodes, for organizing that. Lake Ave Bridge, as everybody knows, we have this project underway. Our total contract value is a little over $6.9 million. We've made 2 payments to date. We are not anticipating change orders at this time, and we are currently on schedule for substantial completion in July of 2027. I'll just read through these bullets on the slide related to work completed since our last update. The existing streetlight poles have been removed from the bridge and restored. The existing brass plaque has been removed and is being cleaned. Silt fence and environmental protections installed. Minor work zone traffic control modifications were made to address citizen concerns. Thank you to our contractor and engineering for working through those traffic light modifications. Bridge deck and sidewalk removal has begun on the northern end of the bridge, progressing south. Cleaning and priming of the structural steel was completed, and the contractor began tuck pointing the stonework at the base of the southern pier. As we continue, we are going to be working on bridge deck and sidewalk removal, removing NYSEG's abandoned gas main, continuing the tuck pointing, and beginning concrete repairs at bridge abutments. We have some photos to share. This is related to paint containment and cleaning and painting of the bridge. The primer is showing there on the right side picture. I love this name, Slab Grabber. Bucket was mounted to the excavator to be used to remove the bridge deck. If anybody's driven by there, you can see our progress, which is even more so than these photos are showing. Some more photos on the deck removal on our last slide here. So we're pleased with the progress so far, and thank you to our contractors and our staff for continuing this project forward. Any questions from the council before I move on?
Council, any questions? Thank you, staff, for putting that together.
Thank you. A couple other things. We mentioned last month that we were going to be implementing our parking changes the first week of August, and we were working through that. You may have noticed that we've had our staff out there removing meters and non-working kiosks. The center part of downtown on Genesee Street between William and Dill and North and South Street will still have kiosks on the street. The parking garage will still have kiosks, and the Dill Street parking lot will still have a kiosk. Department of Public Works has been installing 100 new signs with the Pango information throughout the area. An update email I saw said that they only have 26 more to go, so they are making great progress. Pango is our parking application. However, if people do not want to download and use the app, there are two non-app alternatives to pay, a text to pay and a call to pay, which are noted on the signs. Updated Pango information is on the city's website, and we're also working with the downtown bid to educate business owners on these changes. The 2026-2027 budget process debrief is scheduled for the August 13th City Council meeting. I'm also planning on sharing some department-specific budget impacts as part of that discussion. I'm looking forward to feedback from the council on things that were good, things that were that we need to change in the process, new things that you'd like to see. I'm going to send around a couple photos as I talk about this next item. The Cayuga County Soil and Water District sent us a proposal for Hoops Park to restore the stream bank in Hoops Park and replace the main bridge closest to the pond. Through Eastern Finger Lakes Coalition dollars, 87.5% of this project would be funded by the state, and the 12.5% local match could be achieved through in-kind services. The next step would be a commitment from the City Council to move forward with this project, and the staff will bring a resolution forward later this month for your consideration. From the Police Department, National Night Out is an annual community building campaign that promotes police and community partnerships and neighborhood camaraderie. Auburn Police Department organized our local National Night Out, which was held this past Tuesday evening at Hoops Park. The night was a success with estimates of approximately 1,000 people in attendance. Thank you. We've been off for a couple weeks, so I had a lot to say.
That's great. Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Haynes? Reports from members of council. Councilor Cuddy.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Last week, Gian Dagabosi's hosted the Career Connections Camp, one of which was highlighted and funded by the city and the USDA and the public, correct me, the public trust. Christina, there was another funder that I wanted to mention. It was a great success. Students traveled within and out the city to learn about the environment, the watershed, and it was very, very enlightening and engaging for the campers, both for the students and for the instructors. So just want to thank the city for that.
Very good. Thank you, Councilor. Anyone else? Councilor Diego?
Thank you, Mayor. I just had about a 2.5-hour meeting with the County Legislator Chairman, Mr. Anna, yesterday. Surprising, completely different way they run the county as the way we run the city also, but something we can talk about after, some of the things that we spoke about, some consolidation of services, other things, but definitely two completely different entities. I appreciate him taking the time to meet with. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I don't have a report. It's actually maybe just a few topics to discuss, so maybe it may be appropriate to wait until 16, or maybe at some point in time we could just blend the two. So per the pleasure of the council and the mayor, do you want me to wait till we get to 16, or do you want me to bring up the points
If
now?
there's things that you want to discuss, I would wait until other business from the council.
All right.
Yeah, very good. As I mentioned, Monday, the city clerk and I met with Ms. Gibson. It was a very productive meeting. I'm glad that she was able to stop in this evening. Monday evening, I attended the grand reopening of the Refinery Restaurant at the Hilton Garden Inn. I want to acknowledge the Hilton and Pioneer companies for that continued investment into that property. Tuesday, Councilor Diego and myself attended National Night Out. I want to thank the chief for his good work there along with his department. And today was the final day of Summer Rec for 2026. I stepped down to Falcon Park. It's a fantastic turnout. I'd say there were between 200 and 300 kids down there. Some of the sponsors stopped down. I want to acknowledge them again for their generosity and helping that program be a success, and obviously recognize Meg Gremley, Brian Rhodes, and their team for pulling this thing off again this year. Actually, on the way out, one of the kids stopped Mrs. Gremley and said, "Thank you for making my summer great." So that's worth it. All right, this evening we have two resolutions. Council Resolution Number 93 of 2026, establishing a temporary 12-month moratorium on the development of construction of data storage facilities within the city of Auburn. Do we have a sponsor? Councilor Cuddy, second by Councilor Clarko.
Council Resolution 93 of 2026, whereas the Auburn City Council finds that it is in the best interest of the city of Auburn to enact a moratorium on any new data storage facilities which consist of buildings containing numerous servers that have high demand for energy, cooling, and water, and can result in disturbing noise generation. And whereas the Auburn City Council recognizes the potential impact of data storage facilities on the city's infrastructure, environment, public health and safety, and community character. And whereas the city is committed to ensuring the health, safety, and welfare of its residents and to the proper regulation of land uses within the city of Auburn. Whereas the city is developing a new smart growth comprehensive plan to guide future land use development decisions. And whereas the Auburn City Council has determined that it is prudent to temporarily pause the consideration of data storage facilities within the city, and that such a pause will provide sufficient time to study and address concerns regarding zoning, environmental impacts, public safety, and the economic implications resulting from these facilities, as well as to develop corresponding code and comprehensive plan provisions. Now therefore be it resolved that the Auburn City Council does hereby impose a 12-month moratorium on the approval or construction of data storage facilities within the city of Auburn in order to provide the city an opportunity to complete the comprehensive plan and amend as appropriate the city code so that it can reasonably regulate the development of data centers. Be it further resolved, for the duration of the moratorium, no applications for data storage facilities shall be accepted or processed by any board or entity with appropriate authority in the city, including City Council, Planning Board, and Zoning Board of Appeals.
Question, discussion from the council? Anything to add, Councilor Cuddy?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm glad we're doing this. I know that the state has adopted a similar moratorium. One of the reasons why I support this is that it is an issue that is nationwide. These data centers have more liabilities than assets, and I just, I think the moratorium is a good step, but I think those of you that are concerned about the future of Auburn becoming a site for these data centers, I find it really important that you participate in the comprehensive plan online to make sure that, like in lieu of a moratorium, that the people speak out against these data storage facilities. So I want to make sure that that's not lost in this. That's not lost in this resolution, because really it's up to you to make sure that data centers don't happen in Auburn, and we're giving a 12-month moratorium to make sure that nothing happens in between. With that, this might have, Mr. Selvig may need to answer this. If there are existing structures that may want to convert their space into a data center or data center adjacent, does our current ordinances protect us from this, or does this moratorium also protect us?
Well, thank you, Councilor Cuddy. Good evening, Mayor and members of council. With regards to your question specifically, this moratorium would protect any conversion, new build, whatever it might be. So it's establishing a moratorium against that particular use. So if there's an existing warehouse somewhere that someone says, I want to turn into a data center, this moratorium is going to be what helps control that. I do want to bring up a point of clarification. You mentioned the state's moratorium, and I know there have been some questions about, well, if the state has one, why does the city need one? The state's moratorium is specific to hyperscale data moratorium or data centers. These are data centers that are 50 megawatt data centers, huge consumers of electric. To put that in perspective, 50 megawatts is the equivalency of 40,000 households. So putting this in place helps us get below that threshold, address a smaller scale data center that might want to establish within our region, so that we have that time to do our research, do the necessary due diligence, and establish as appropriately the regulations that we would need in place.
Very good. Any other questions?
I just have a comment. Thank you, Mr. Selvig. I see data centers and the public's concern about flock safety and ALPRs as one and the same. So those of you that are here today that are expressing concern about flock ALPRs, please include these concerns in the comprehensive plan. That's the only way that we're going to protect ourselves. So, there's just 5 of us, but there's many of you. So it's land use, and the public needs to engage in this to protect this city and the people of this city. So I'm looking forward to vote for this, and I am hopeful that the public, the people here, will become very involved in our comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Jacob?
Just real quick, I just wanted to thank you for that clarification on the moratorium and the size of the data centers. I was personally unaware that there was a size differential, and that this moratorium is even more important than I thought it was to begin with. So thank you for that clarification.
Certainly. Councilor Jacob?
Just a clarification. I think this is what you already said, Mr. Selvig. Even if the property's not owned by the city, they still can't put anything in, correct, inside the city limits? Like Bombardier plant is one of the ones that people have already inquired about.
That is correct. I mean, this is a moratorium for this use within city limits. And the moratorium, the additional, be it further resolved, is kind of that key component there, that council is prohibiting even the acceptance of an application by the zoning board, planning board, for review. So they wouldn't be able to get into any of the processes for approval.
Perfect. Thank you.
Council, all set. I know that this is a moratorium within the city of Auburn. Obviously, outside the city of Auburn, we don't have any control over that. The one thing I think that we do have some control over is water and wastewater. And if I understand correctly, Mr. Garland, within our wholesale agreements with the towns, any, I guess, massive project or use of water or wastewater has to be approved by the city. Is that accurate?
That's accurate, Mr. Mayor. Additionally, on the wastewater side, our industrial treatment chapter of the municipal code is particularly strong in that regard. And as Mr. Selvig referenced, he and I have had this discussion. We're confident in the protections that we have in place, but this is an extra layer that allows, as moratoriums are designed to do, allows the city council time to take a considered approach to a particular issue. So we're protected. This moratorium fills in some gaps and gives council time to figure out the best way to approach this.
Very good, thank you. All set, Council? Please call the roll.
Councilor Diego?
Yes.
Councilor Overstreet Wilson?
Yes.
Councilor Cuddy?
Yes.
Councilor Calarco?
Aye.
Mayor Genatino?
Aye.
Carried.
Grant Resolution Number 94 of 2026, authorizing a 2026 consolidated funding application for the NYSERDA Building Cleaner Communities Competition. Do we have a sponsor? Councilor Clarko, second by Councilor Diego.
Grant Resolution 94 of 2026. Whereas the city of Auburn has 3 historic buildings located at 24 South Street, 46 North Street, and 23 Market Street that utilize geothermal HVAC and domestic hot water systems which have reached the end of their useful lives and require modernization as part of a broader project strategy that contributes to reducing municipal building energy consumption and supporting the city's efforts for carbon neutral facilities. And whereas these municipal buildings are located within the city's downtown revitalization initiative district and serve the entire city of Auburn, which is considered in part of a New York State DEC potential environmental justice area and disadvantaged community. And whereas the 2026 New York State Consolidated Funding application has released requests for proposals for the NYSERDA Building Cleaner Communities competition projects for which municipalities are eligible to apply. And whereas the Auburn Centennial Building Project would consist of 2 phases, with phase 1 focusing on the deep retrofit of the geothermal HVAC and domestic hot water system, which has an anticipated cost of $2,750,000. And whereas to retrofit and upgrade these HVAC building systems, the city of Auburn is requesting $962,500 in funding assistance from NYSERDA, which is 35% of the city's total project cost of $2,750,000, as authorized in bond ordinance number 2 of 2026. And whereas the city would seek additional NYSERDA grant funds to aid in completing future energy improvements at City Hall, including building envelope and lighting upgrades to aid in reducing future long-term energy costs. And whereas the city of Auburn does not currently have the funding to pay for 100% of phase 1 of the Auburn Centennial Building Project, and it is necessary to obtain New York State funding assistance for the project development and implementation. Now therefore be it resolved by the council that 1, the Director of Capital Projects or appointed designee is authorized to submit an application for funding under the 2026 Consolidated Funding Application to NYSERDA Building Cleaner Communities Competition. 2, upon a grant award, the mayor is authorized to execute the grant assistance contract, submit project documentation, and otherwise act for the municipality's governing body in all matters related to the project and state assistance. 3, city controller is authorized to recognize grant revenue and appropriate the funds into designated capital account. And 4, the resolution will take effect immediately.
Very good. With us this evening is Ms. Selvig. If council has any questions. Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilor Diego?
Yes.
Councilor Overstreet Wilson?
Yes.
Councilor Cuddy?
Yes.
Councilor Calarco?
Aye.
Mayor Genatino?
Aye.
Carried.
Ms. Selvig, thank you as usual for pursuing every possible funding stream you can. Much appreciated. Other business from the council. Councilor Cuddy.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. As you all know, since March, many members of the public have been coming to council meetings expressing their concern about FLOC and other ALPRs. I know next week we have a work session. I would like to put forth, with working with the Corporation Council, City Manager, and Chief Androsco, put forth a draft resolution to discuss, so we can discuss this issue publicly. I do believe that many of the concerns that have been brought up are valid, and I do feel we need to act on this. And if we do continue to use these technologies, that along with a resolution, there needs to be a local law to protect private data so that there is a guard against overreach of getting our private information and our civil rights. So does that seem like something that this council would be willing to bring to discuss next week in a work session?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I definitely got no issue discussing it at all. I'd like to add to something that you said also, Councilor Cuddy. If we're going to discuss it, and obviously this is a huge problem, we should be looking for replacement and, you know, help also at the same time. If Flock's not where it's at, which we're pretty close to knowing that's exactly what's not going to happen,
yes,
we should be looking for an alternative to let them replace. And we're also waiting to hear back, aren't we, I believe, from other municipalities on, you know, the funding. Are we going to be not allowed to get those grants anymore if we use the money, stuff like that? But as long as there's a replacement and they're 100%.
So, and I just want to say that I've been, I think we've all been receiving emails from members of the public. There's one specifically that did provide alternatives that don't seem to be the ones that have the same kind of capabilities as the ones of concern that have been mentioned. So I'll be glad to make that public as well, and to discuss those, just so that you know, even though we may vote on this at some point, there are alternatives that can be in place that the public will be happy with. It's not like there's only 3 companies that provide these services. I think the big concern is the AI element and the invasion of privacy. And I think we can thread that needle to make sure that the police have what they need, you know, and the public feels as though their rights aren't being infringed upon.
I was just going to bring up, yes, I agree during the work session that we should be discussing other alternatives to collecting data. But I also want to say is I think we've been talking about this not just since March, just in the sense that Flock isn't a good product, but I feel like we've been dragging it on, because I've said many times unplug it. Clearly you can't unplug Flock, but if it wasn't done lawfully and it didn't come to the council, and I know that there are money issues that should be addressed, but ultimately we may lose the money anyway. At the end of the day, these Flock cameras are placed in parts of the city that, one, we didn't get a chance to have a discussion about why they were placed there. What was the data that was used? Were they going to be recording all day long? Were there specific days that they were going to be recorded? We also don't know how they have helped catch criminals. And so the alternative that we should be discussing when we are discussing in this session, where will they be placed? Who decides necessarily? What are the factors that will be a part of the decision on where they're placed? What is the actual crime statistics during what times of the day, what days of the week, and putting into the local law how long that data will be stored, who will have access to it. Is it live review? Is it review after the fact? But I want to full circle this back. We have been talking about Flock not just since March. It is nauseating how much we have talked about Flock. And again, I know we can't unplug it, but I wish we could. Because if it wasn't done lawfully, there needs to be, it's done. Now we will discuss what the alternative is. Because I still don't trust the process. So I want to say that out loud. I don't know why they are placed where they are. I don't know what necessarily happens to the information that is recorded. I don't know who they are recording. I don't even know what And no one does, unless it was told specifically to the city manager or the mayor. Why are we targeting such parts of the community? And when you are told, because people are calling you, or because there are shootings and whatnot, if we're gonna talk about shootings, we're gonna talk about how they happen, where they happen, because the places in which Flock has been established aren't the places where all the shootings are happening. So there are talking points that are being misrepresented to the community as the folks that are in support of Flock, as they are presenting this information to us. That was my first point. The second point that I want to bring up is, and this can be a discussion or this is just me making a point. For several years, even when I was not clearly on council, and I worked at a local community center, there was tons of work being done behind building relationships with our young folks in our police department. And I commend that. The amount of grants that have been received to make sure that those relationships can happen. And I think what was behind that, the belief was, if we can get young kids to build a relationship with the police officers, they'll have that established moving forward. But I want to say, in light of there being 6 active lawsuits, 7 police officers, a few of them with more than one excessive force charge, if our police department has a ceiling of being able to only deal with young kids in this community, we are in trouble. We have spent money, this community has spent money on a specific training that happened like 2 years ago. We haven't picked it back up. And if these lawsuits and these 7 officers are an indication of a failure of leadership, it should be loud to everyone. I'm not saying that and let me be clear, let me say that again. I'm not saying that the folks that we have hired to be police officers are not good people, because I don't believe that people are inherently bad. What I'm saying is that a loss of self-control, the lack of emotional intelligence, the loss of emotional stability is a training issue and a failure of due diligence to hold people accountable. Now, anybody else, with the number of people that are in trouble on paper, we'd all have lost our jobs by now. But my tax money is going to pay for a lawsuit that will be settled probably in favor of the person that is bringing the lawsuit forward. And here we are talking about the good things that the police officers in our department are doing with young kids. But the moment they get to the middle school or beyond that, we have a chunk of people in this community that our police officers aren't prepared to deal with or how to interact with. And again, that is a failure of planning for them to not be successful. So what I want to say is, I think that we are in a good place for 2 things that specifically impact our community. That is surveillance, and that is the relationship with our police department. We cannot, as a community, we cannot afford to not take this and create a clear path, specifically with our comprehension plan, but that needs to be a critical conversation and a strategic thought behind that, because there will come a time when none of us that are sitting here will be here, and our legacy will be what is written after we leave. Those are 2 hugely important things connected next to the city budget that's going to come up again in a couple months, and we'll be talking about the money that either we have or we don't have. That's what I wanted to bring up. I was aware of the different lawsuits. I wasn't aware that it was 6. That's what I have to say.
Councilor Clarko.
I just would like to respond to Councilor Cuddy's request to discuss Flock. I think it is an important topic that we discuss on the floor and have these conversations as to what our alternatives are. Also trying to be fiscally responsible. We came out of a terrible budget, so I don't think we could just kiss away money and be okay with it. We have to be smart about how we move forward on things. But one thing I would like to make sure that we clarify when having that discussion is the difference between the types of cameras that are being used. is I think everything's getting lumped into one category, and we need to be clear on what the different things are. The ALPRs, which are the flock cameras, are placed, in my understanding, in zones where people are coming in and out of the city, whereas other surveillance cameras are being put in place that are not flock cameras to help in hot zones of issues. So I just want to make sure that we make that very clear so that people understand the differences between these types of cameras, where the data is going, and who owns that data. So I'd like to make that clear for our public.
I also, I just want to respond to that. The coming in and out of the city, that might be where they're stationed, but they're collecting the same information about.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure when we're discussing these things, we discuss them in the right way and as to what they're actually, where they are and what they're being used for.
Councilor Diego?
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with Councilor Clarko and Councilor Overstreet Wilson. I think it's definitely, they're two different entities 100%. When we start talking Axon, which we've seen Syracuse just went to, it's kind of like Flock from what I understand, but we also got to realize that going like Councilor Clarko said, our body cams that we wear, I believe, are Axon. We can't just decide we're going to get rid of every single thing that we're using at this point. Completely different entity. The flock cameras that are storing and sharing data, stuff like that, I'm assuming it's different than the Axon body cameras, this and that. But yeah, there's a lot to break down in this, and obviously the police have to be involved in this as well.
Yeah, I think your point taken, we don't want to conflate body cameras with the geofence.
Correct.
ALPR, that's like, I think the real focus, especially with the public, from what I understand, is the ALPRs, whether it's Flock, Axon, Motorola. There are alternatives besides those three. And those are the three that, from what I gather from the public, emails and overtures to us are the ones of concern. So, but you're right, we don't want to conflate our regular cameras, surveillance cameras with the ALPR. The big concern is how that data is stored, used, and overlapped, integrated into a bigger, larger surveillance apparatus. That's what they're concerned about. That's what I'm concerned about. And I think we just want to make sure that we're not inadvertently adding to that apparatus.
All set?
Yes.
Anything else? Do you have a request for executive session?
Yes, Mayor, 4 items. One related to the financial history of a particular corporation, one matter leading to the employment of a particular corporation, and 2 matters related to collective negotiations.
Very good. Do we have a sponsor for executive session? Councilor Diego, second by Councilor Clarko. Please call the roll.
Executive session for 6:14 p.m. Councilor Diego?
Yes.
Councilor Overstreet Wilson?
Yes.
Councilor Cuddy?
Yes.
Councilor Clarko?
Aye.
Mayor Gentilini?
Hi, we'll be in recess for executive session.
Councilors being told that I owe money on 108 Auburn Street. Why are they being told that?
I don't know who's telling them that.
Marco just told me that today. That I owe money against 108 Auburn Street for previous